missing the playoffs impact LeBron's legacy?
So this is such an interesting question because I think I'm going to surprise people. Because, Brew, I think it should matter. I think missing the playoffs should be not a major, but a small ding in LeBron's GOAT armor or resume legacy armor. But because folks don't operate under logical pretenses when it comes to basketball legacy discussion, they operate under the Michael Jordan model. You're allowed to miss the playoffs. You're just not allowed to lose in the finals. So like last year, I thought it was bad for LeBron that he lost in round one. He'd been 14-0 in round one, had never lost in round one. But what I am learning throughout this week of discussions is it was actually great they lost in round one because they weren't going to beat Giannis. He was on a mission. And had they made those finals and lost, you guys would just shout 4-7. So it should matter to miss the playoffs. But if you can't win the title, lose early. Worst thing LeBron ever did was the 48 special against Detroit. Would have been way better if at 23 he hadn't done that. Because you're allowed to lose to Detroit repeatedly in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And then people just say you never lost. Like LeVar Ball never lost. You can do it. But you beat them and then lose to a team in the finals. There's the first finals loss. So it should hurt his legacy. But because Jordan missed the playoffs and Jordan lost in round one, you're allowed to do it. So I guess it won't. I think it should. I'm not sure.
I should have known. I should have known that this really wasn't a Lakers discussion. This really wasn't a LeBron discussion.
Never is, Broussard.
This is a Jordan discussion.
It's legacy.
I had no idea. I was taking
legacy.
the question at face value. All right. And no.
Me too.
Look, LeBron didn't make the playoffs his first 2 seasons in the league. All right. Nobody holds that against him like Nick holds it against Jordan that he lost in the first rounds of the playoffs. Look, I will give you this, Nick. I will give credit. Getting to 10 finals like LeBron has, Magic got to 9, is impressive. That's great. But it's just tough to say you get more credit for getting to 10 finals versus getting to 6 finals like Jordan did when you lost 6 of them. And I'm not even throwing that as a shot at LeBron. LeBron, if he was 6-4, or that would be a much stronger argument for he won just as many and he got to way more than if he's 4-6. And that's the challenge when you just bring up getting to the finals. Because I agree, it is impressive to get to that many finals without question. But I'm going to answer what Jenna's question was, Wilds. No, it wouldn't hurt LeBron's legacy at all. At all. LeBron's legacy is set. All he can do now is add to it. He can make it greater, but he can't make it worse. Because if he doesn't make the playoffs in his 19th year, I'm sorry, we're not holding that against him. All right, all he can do is win more championships, win more MVPs, which would make his legacy even greater, but he cannot lessen his legacy. When Michael Jordan didn't make the playoffs in Washington 2 years, didn't lessen his legacy one bit.
See?
All right, I mean, I'm just serious. It didn't. He's an old man. And LeBron is playing great, but what I like about this, if they don't make the playoffs, it will put to bed all of that talk that LeBron is as good as he was 7 years ago, which is an insult to LeBron. He's playing great, but he's not what he was even 4 years ago. If he was, that LeBron James could take the 4 of us and make the playoffs. So the fact that if they don't make the playoffs is just proof that despite the numbers, which are easier to get today, it's easier to get numbers in today's games. We got like 4 players, James Harden, Luka Doncic, hey, Russell Westbrook in a bad year. 4 guys within spitting distance of a triple-double average because it's easier in today's NBA to get numbers. I didn't even mention Nikola Jokic. All right, so I'm just saying this would just be proof that LeBron is older and not what he was in his prime. But no, it wouldn't hurt Wilds his legacy at all. It's set. Just only add to it.
I think that's right. So there's 2 avenues that this season ends, and I don't think either of them are a championship. So, Nick, I'm going to contend that LeBron should prioritize his health. a.k.a. think about shutting it down if he sees that he can't win the championship. The Lakers are 27-31, just like the Washington Wizards. And I don't think any of us are like, you know what? Look out, if the Wizards get hot, they might have something, make a run. I just don't think that's the right world we're in. So I think that LeBron should have the long view and say, you know what? I know that he's the Iron Man, but if his knee is bothering him and he knows that he can't make the playoffs, can't win the championship, then fighting and clawing and like diving on the floor just to get knocked out by Rudy Gobert, I think that would be rough. I would rather have him say, you know what, this season is pretty much lost, which he said earlier in the year, and say, I'm gonna prioritize my health. Would you be okay with him shutting it down, Nick, if he sees that a championship is not in the cards?
Shutting it down, like quitting the sport entirely because he's burnt out to go try something else?
No,
or just like having a knee procedure and being done for a few months? Oh, okay. All right. I just didn't know.
It never
didn't know.
ends.
Like it's too much, the scrutiny, the pressure. I need to go
when
try
the show
something
ends,
else.
it never ends.
I just didn't know. We have to define shut it down. Like, I'm burnt out. I went to 3 straight finals. Oh, my God. Can you imagine going to 8 straight? It's too much. I got to shut it down. No, I don't think he's going to do that. I think LeBron James is going to play basketball.
3 straight. 3 straight.
I do think Broussard, Wildes is saying the worst thing. I think what Wildes is saying, the worst thing LeBron could do is, however much juice he has left in the tank, use a lot of it up here so he doesn't have as much next year or in the however many. It seems like he wants to play a bunch more years talking about playing with Bronny. I don't necessarily view it like that. I think LeBron is, replenishes whatever juice is in the tank in the offseason. I just think the tank gets a little smaller each offseason. I don't think sitting out the final 10 games of this year would make him better next season. I could be wrong on that. What I do know, Broussard, is the single worst thing LeBron could do for his legacy is carry this team to the finals. Miss the playoffs, get swept in round 1, do anything but carry them to the finals and lose to Giannis. Because then you're 4-7, and it's just a disaster.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.